What's up, guys? Welcome to last week in the NFL, Week 13. It is our Week 13 recap. We are back in the studio. Thanksgiving's over.
Yep.
And the NFL season's kind of coming down to the end. I mean, like once Thanksgiving happens, we're moving towards Christmas. We're moving towards the end of the season. I mean, the Super Bowl's in February, so
Yeah.
I mean, very early February, but it's coming up.
It'll be there before we know it.
Yeah. So for Week 13, though, I went 9-7. You went 8-8.
Yep.
I extend my streak of I don't know how many weeks, but of being in the positive with the records. So feel pretty good about that.
Can't relate.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough. I'm only up by 6 games though, so you still got plenty of time to come back.
I can come back.
We got 4 more weeks left,
Mhm.
so we'll see about that. But we only had 3 games different this week. You correctly picked the Ravens to beat the 49ers. And then I picked the Rams to beat the Cardinals and the Texans to beat the Patriots, which, was one of those ones where I picked it at the beginning of the year, but, like, once it actually came time, like, the game time, I was like, the Texans aren't going to win this. But they ended up winning it. Some other notable games from this week, the Steelers and Duck Hodges pretty much killed the Browns, dropping them to 5-7, probably done.
Yeah.
Titans beat the
win.
Colts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bengals got their first win.
Bengals beat the Jets. May or may not have bet on the Jets, but it's whatever. Andy Dalton's back, and then Titans beat the Colts in a pretty big AFC South matchup. So there's definitely some good games. Cowboys still haven't beat a team over 500. I enjoyed the Thanksgiving games. They were good. Got to see the Cowboys lose. Always fun.
It is.
The Bears stink, but they won, and that quarterback was better than everyone thought, so good for him. Also, one last thing. Redskins upset the Panthers. Dwayne Haskins now won 2 games in a row while having awful stats, so good for him.
Yeah.
But moving on to my game that went as expected. It just happened last night. Vikings 30, Seahawks 37. It was one of our games of the weeks for sure, and it was exactly what I hoped it would be. It was a really good primetime game that had a kind of a playoff-esque atmosphere. It
definitely felt like it.
It's a night game. The Seattle crowd is always showing out, and I mean always showing out. So Kirk Cousins is going to get a lot of flack because he's 0-8 in Monday Night Football games. That's the worst record ever.
Yeah.
And then also people always say that he doesn't win, the big game. And he had the drive at the end, clutch moment to get it done. He couldn't do it. I'm not even talking about like the 30-second one where they fumbled, the one before that, where they got stopped on 4th down.
You talk about that quick out?
Yeah. So that, but like that's not there's a lot of, it's hard to win in Seattle.
It is.
As I said, it's a hard place to play. They're down Thielen, they're down their tackle Reef. They're down Dalvin Cook, and then Stephon Diggs even left the game for a little. So it's not
they got hurt on the same play.
Yeah, so it's not like he had all of his weapons at his disposal and he just threw a bad pick. Obviously, if you're a Viking fan, you would have wanted to win this game, but it doesn't really change my opinion on the Vikings. It almost just elevates my opinion of the Seahawks.
I think it elevates both in my opinion because I think there was a lot more fight out of the Vikings than I personally was expecting. I thought when they got down, at first, I was kind of like,
and they were down 17 points kind of late in this game. They came back and they made it competitive.
They did.
And, Kirk Cousins should get the credit for that.
Well, I mean, like you said, the record's not really great, but this season as a whole, he's been playing really well after that apology to Adam Thielen, week 2. So.
And, I mean, they're, 9-3? So, I mean, they're completely fine. As I said, this loss doesn't make me, doubt the Vikings, but it didn't really inspire me.
It does kind of open up the playoff race though a little bit more. It kind of lets the teams in the hunt like the Rams and them still gives them a little hope. So
a little bit of hope.
They'll have to get back on track. But moving on to my game that went as expected, I went with the Chiefs and the Raiders. The Chiefs just blew the doors off the Raiders, which I was kind of expecting. I mean, I wouldn't have been surprised if the Raiders hung around, but the Raiders just turned the ball over 3 times. One was a pick 6, so that's never good.
Yeah, one thing.
The defense actually looked really solid compared to what it's looked like the last couple weeks. Patrick Mahomes didn't, put up his staggering numbers like usual.
No, I was very surprised when they had 40 points and he had, 200 passing yards?
Dude, 175, even less than that. Yeah, see, only 1 touchdown. He did put up 1 on the ground, though, as well. They ran for 2 more touchdowns after that, so it was a really good running day for them. But, it's good to see the Chiefs back to their usual selves. It's kind of weird seeing them struggling in the middle of the season there for a little bit. But
yeah, and I think I think this game's probably the end of like could the Raiders be contenders?
Yeah, no,
talk,
I agree.
Because obviously they still have plenty of time to actually turn it around. But if they go in and they put up at least a good fight, they don't have to win that game, but losing to the Jets the Jets last week.
Yeah,
just
not good.
You couldn't lose both these games in a row the way you lost. They got blown out 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Now you're worried about is Derek Carr going to get benched? So, now it goes completely from, are we maybe going to the playoffs to, these guys are kind of what we thought they were. But moving on to my game that did not go as expected. This one I'm speechless at this one. Eagles 31, Dolphins 37. I picked the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl before the season, and how can they do this to me? The Cowboys are literally trying to hand the Eagles the NFC East, and the Eagles don't even want it. They're like, no. You guys keep it. No, trust me.
We're good.
We don't want it. Because literally, they're up 28 to 14, 11 minutes left in the third quarter versus the Dolphins. It's the Dolphins. This is the team that they've won a couple games recently, but they were tanking at the beginning of the year. They traded away Tunsil. They traded away Fitzpatrick. They're starting Ryan Fitzpatrick.
They couldn't have made it clear.
This team is not trying to win, and you come in and you lose. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, to the Eagles' credit, once a year there's a Fitzmagic game where he pulls out 400 yards and 3 TDs out of his butt, and he upsets you, and you're mad about it. And it happened. It's happened. And I'm pretty sure it's happened to the Steelers. It's probably happened to everyone's team. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he just does this. Where he did to the Saints last year. You remember that when he hung up 50 on them? Yeah. Where he has these kind of games. And it sucks that it happened to the Eagles this week because it was late in the season. It was a game that they needed. And if they would be, the Cowboys would have the tiebreaker over them, but they'd be tied for the NFC East lead with the Cowboys lost to the Bills. But no. Then also they let a kicker throw a TD to the punter. So, yeah. If you let one of those formations work where the kicker and the punter are on the field and it's not a fit, like they weren't even there was no illusion of them kicking it here. They came out with they do in the middle and the split sides. I don't even know what it is. You let that happen to you. Eagles deserve to lose. They don't even want to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about them after that game. I'm just at a loss for words. But kind of moving on to my game that didn't go as expected. I went with the Texans and the Patriots. This game just absolutely surprised me because the Texans defense just frustrated the hell out of Tom Brady. Like, it was visible. This man's like throwing his helmet. He's yelling at his teammates on the sidelines. Just his receivers literally, I mean, you kind of have to give him a certain amount of credit because he's playing with scrubs and Julian Edelman, But these dudes just can't get off their corners. They're not getting open. Tom Brady's hanging onto the ball way more than he usually does. Because I know he doesn't want to be getting hit as old as he is right now. So I know he's trying to get rid of the ball. But I was just surprised, really. Deshaun Watson played really well against this very good Patriots defense. He's continued to just play so well this year. I think he put up 234 for 3 touchdowns on 18 of 25 throwing, which is really good. It was in Houston, though, but that doesn't usually seem to matter when you're playing Bill Belichick.
I agree.
But I was just really surprised with just how flustered they made Tom Brady. And it's starting to bring up questions, is he washed? Yeah,
and if you look at, I saw some stats about that. Since week 4, Mitch Trubisky's stats are better.
Yeah, he's a better completion percentage than Tom.
Higher completion percentage, more TDs, a lot of stuff. So, yeah. I mean, Tom, the Patriots offense is definitely, not the reason they're winning anymore, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just they're kind of just trying to hang on. They kind of just try to score as many points as they feel like they need to, know? And it obviously didn't work out this week. And, I mean, Tom Brady has to be washed at some point, right? People act like when you say he's washed, it's this negative, no, he's not. You think Tom Brady's washed? Dude, he's 42 years old. And there's going to be a point where he physically can't do it anymore. Your arm just doesn't go forever. That's just, he can have the greatest football mind. He can want to play, could be in great shape. But if the arm can't drive it the way it used to, it can't drive it the way it used to.
You're not going to be able to move down the field.
Yeah, and as you said, the receivers stink. That is for sure.
Oh, that's clear.
The O-line has not been, they're not running the ball fantastic or anything.
I was gonna have that as well. Kind of hard to throw the ball when you can't run the ball either. You know?
Yeah. And my main takeaway from this game, though, for me, is that the Ravens are even more favorites in the AFC. I don't think there's a team right now that can touch them in the AFC.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that. But moving on to our betting picks, I had a nice little bounce back week. Went 0-2 last week, 2-0 this week. Record still stinks, but we won't talk about that. Packers -6.5. Snowy game in New York, but Daniel Jones probably is not loving that, the snow. I don't know where he's from, but he didn't look like he was loving it.
The Carolinas, didn't have to play too much in that weather, but
so Packers kind of ran them. I can't say I was super surprised. Giants had some guys hurt. Evan Ingram, one of the receivers was out too. There we go. So. I felt like that one was easy money. I said that on the show, and it ended up being easy money.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be easy.
Yeah, you're just waiting for the 40 losers so you can talk about who the Giants might draft.
Yeah,
And then the other one was Seahawks -3. I already talked about that game, but I said Kirk Cousins in Seattle, primetime game. Doesn't really seem like they'll win. And as I said, nothing against the Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. The Seahawks actually, I forgot to mention this earlier. They ran crazy on the Vikings. Rashad Penny and Chris Carson combined for 38 carries for 176 and 2 TDs.
Jeez.
And Rashad Penny had another TD receiving on a screen. So the running backs killed him. But, as I said, I felt like that was easy money for the Seahawks, and it was.
Yeah, so moving on for how I did this week, I went 1-1. I'm still kind of floating around 500 overall in my record, so getting a little scared there. But the one that I did get right, though, I got the Rams -3 right at the Cardinals. I kind of figured, Rams have been down for a little bit. I think it's about time they came out and had a really good game. And I thought -3 was really disrespectful. We talked about that in the preview as well.
Did.
And they came out and blew the doors off the Cardinals. Kyler struggled a lot in that game as well, and it was just kind of nice to see the Rams looking like the Rams again.
Yeah, and obviously I did actually place a bet on this game, and I wasn't watching the game at the very beginning, but then I looked back and I saw that it was 17-0 or something already, and I was like, okay, look, thank you. That's exactly the way I was hoping this was gonna go. I was hoping that the Rams aren't this bad because I didn't pick them to go to the Super Bowl, but I picked them to go deep in the playoffs. I expected them to be better this year.
Right.
And just as I said, getting that easy, I think it was 20-0 at halftime, just that easy win.
Easy.
Always nice.
And then my second pick that I got wrong, the Colts -2.5 against the Titans. I kind of been surprised with Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill's been playing really well. Ryan Tannehill's been playing very well. And then obviously, you really don't have to do too. You just have to manage the game really when you have someone like Derrick Henry. Because he put up 150 on the ground this week.
Derrick Henry's been eating.
He's been going crazy. So I was kind of surprised with this. Jacoby Brissett didn't play terrible, but he did turn the ball over twice.
Yeah, this was the first game that I was like, oh, okay, Jacoby doesn't look very. And obviously every quarterback has those games, but he just didn't look very good. And the Colts were still in a very good position to win this game.
They are.
It was what?
They were
17-17. They were kicking a field goal, 5 minutes left. Gets blocked. Tennessee takes it back, and then downhill from there. So you had a good chance with that one.
Yeah, exactly. If they make that field goal, I could have actually gotten it right.
And I'm kind of scared for the Colts' prospects of going to the playoffs now. And obviously as a Steeler fan, I don't want them to go anyway because that 6th spot is ours.
Yeah.
But the Titans have a much better chance of taking us from it though than the Colts do now.
Oh yeah.
But moving on to our 4 losers. Mentioned it earlier. You're just waiting for the draft at this point. You just want to see. You just want to see the young guys play good and the season end. And Saquon not get hurt.
Yeah.
That's what you're hoping for. But my guy is J.K. Dobbins. We've talked about him a couple times. He went off. He had 31 carries, 211 yards, 4 TDs, and then he added 49 more yards receiving on 2 catches. So over 250 total yards. And he had 31 carries, but he still had 6.8 yards per carry. So they were feeding him, but Michigan just couldn't tackle him. They beat Michigan 56-27. And I believe it was maybe the most points Ohio State's ever scored on Michigan in the Big House, I believe.
Yeah, I heard so.
And J.K. was obviously a big reason for that. Justin Fields as well, but not draft eligible.
I don't even think we saw J.K. a lot in the third quarter, to be honest.
No, Master Teague got his usual 10 to 12 carries.
Yep.
But yeah, J.K. just dominated. Michigan just didn't want to tackle him. They had no interest. It was cold. They were losing. They had no interest of tackling him. So he just went off.
Did have a little scare though at the beginning. He fumbled his first carry. Was able to pick that up and just kept running. I was
he just dropped it on the turf. Gosh. Didn't even break stride.
Yeah, but he's really shown out why he could definitely end up being the best running back in this class.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So whoever gets him, I mean, I could definitely see him going in the first round. I can see him going in the second.
Yeah, he's officially
in those top two though.
He's officially worked himself into Josh Jacobs' range.
Yeah.
Or I don't think any running back goes before pick 20. But
oh no, I agree.
If someone goes, it very well could be him.
Yeah. Moving on to my pick, I picked Iowa's defensive end AJ Epinesa. He kind of went off this weekend. He's been going off these last couple of weeks. He's definitely a top 10 pick in my opinion, and this dude just ate up against Nebraska this weekend. They won 27-24 in a close one. I know Nebraska almost came back.
Game-winning field goal, I believe.
Yeah. But he went off, had 14 total tackles, 9 solo, 2 sacks, and then 5 tackles for a loss. This dude just torched Nebraska's offensive line, was wreaking havoc. He was living in the backfield all day, pretty much. This kid's a tank. He's obviously not going to be the first defensive end taken because of Chase Young.
No, yeah.
But this is definitely somebody that I can see the Falcons taking because their rushers haven't been as good this season, or obviously the Giants because we just can't seem to pressure the quarterback to save our lives. So that's where I can see him going, but I just think this dude's a freak.
No, and to get 14 tackles as a D lineman, it's like it's not like you're the middle linebacker where you stand in the middle and you can run right or left, and you can make tackles 5 yards down the field. He's at the line of scrimmage on one side of it, and he's getting 9 solo tackles. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
like
that's ridiculous.
And it is Nebraska, and I'm sure Nebraska's tackle probably has a headache right now and has like ice on his knees because he got destroyed the whole day. But that's it, to go in and dominate a team like that. Always impressive.
Oh yeah,
you got to be impressed. So with that, guys, that is our Week 13 recap. As I said at the top, getting close to the end of the year. Football's getting better and better. We got some great matchups coming up next week again. But with that, be sure to like, subscribe, and we will see you guys next week.
Yeah, see you.